Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Lisa Levitan with Art and Salt Palo Alto. Today I'm going to teach you how to use a common office folder, manila folder, to create a three-dimensional sculpture. Sculpture is really an interesting project because we don't often get to do it. It also makes us think differently about space. It's a three-dimensional space where you can see things multi-dimensionally. And the thing I want you to pay attention to as you create your sculpture today is that you're going to have voids, which are the spaces in between other spaces. You're going to have different kinds of lines, so you might see some angular lines or some curved lines, and I'm going to teach you how to bend these forms. This is a paper strip sculpture that I'm using to show you the different aspects of sculpture in terms of tight spaces, vertical spaces, bent shapes, diagonal spaces, and solid versus open spaces. So that being said, I'm going to get started with the project at hand. I'm just going to show you the finished project, and then I'll walk you through it. Here is the finished project. It was made on a manila, with a manila folder. It is mounted on a paper plate. If you don't have a manila folder, you can use a paper plate. Your sculpture will be smaller because you'll want to trim your plate down so that you don't have the edge or the rim. Okay, so all I need today are my scissors and my folder, and I need to find my tape, which seems to be missing. It's hiding. Here we go. So what I've done to make it easier to see, but it's also something you can do, is I have my folder and I glued down construction paper on the inside to change the color. You can color the inside with either markers or colored pencils, or you can leave it one color. But for the sake of our demonstration today, it's easier for you to see it if I have the two colors. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the fold. I'm going to cut two parallel lines into the fold about hand distance apart, and they're going to be about finger distance long. So I'm going to make a vertical cut here and a vertical cut here. Now, if you've ever done 3D pop-up books or cards, it's the same technique. So now what I'm going to do is going to push through my pop-up so that you're going to now have a shape that's open like this, okay? If it seems to not want to stay, the easiest thing to do is to kind of fold it back so that you can get it to stay. Now I'm noticing some of my construction paper wants to pop up, so I'm going to take a minute and just glue that back down so it's not distracting. Okay, from here we're going to experiment with different kinds of lines that we're going to cut out or cut into our folds. And I just want to demonstrate with some loose pieces of paper. We can make loops or curls. It's very easy to make a tight curl too if you take a pen or a pencil and you wrap your paper or your manila folder piece around, you'll get a much tighter curl. So you can see that. The other kind of shape we might do is called a hinge, where you might bend or hinge a couple of areas on your paper. You can also turn this into a fan fold, which would be like a lightning bolt. So I'm going forward and back and forward and back. And you can see here how I've now created an interesting zigzag shape. The other last thing I want to show you with thin pieces, what you can do is you can twist them instead of curl them, and you'll get some more interesting spirals by doing that, by just twisting. So that I demonstrated with strips of paper. We're going to actually now use our folder to create those things. So I have my pop-up. That's going to help stabilize my folder and make it three-dimensional. What I'm going to do is start on one side, and I'm going to just cut a few strips straight through. I might want to cut a void out here, so I made a shape. You can see that. And I'm going to make a squiggly line cut here. Now you don't have to make all your cuts at one time. I'm doing it for the sake of being a little bit speedier. Now I'm going to take a couple pieces of tape and I'm just going to make a few tape pieces and put them on the edge of my table so that I have them ready when I need them. Now with my first cut, I think I want to make this into a loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist it and I'm going to pull it back to the other side and I'm going to play with it because I could place it here, I could place it here, I could place it over like this. It kind of depends on what I find interesting. So I'm going to apply a piece of tape to it and I'm going to loop it all the way over because I like to see kind of dramatic shapes. So I've created this loop off of the one piece that I've twisted back. Now the second piece I have, because it's green, I might want to flip the opposite side this way. So I can experiment with how I want that to happen. I think I'm going to make this even smaller into a couple smaller pieces by cutting into it again. So I'm going to make a lightning fold by a fan fold that goes forward and back and forward and back. And so I've now created a little zigzag shape. Maybe you can see it there. And then this one, maybe I want to fold this one with a piece of tape and roll it and make a bend like I did to the previous piece on the other side. But this one I'm going to pull down this way. So you can see how simply now I've started to take a flat surface, right, my file folder, and I started to create some interest in a three-dimensional way. So this is abstract, but what's interesting about when it's an abstract shape is it really captures light in different ways. You can see the shadows on the inside of my loop. You can see how some of these pieces are casting shadows against the solid wall. Okay, so this one I think I want to do a fan fold too. I think that might be interesting. And instead of leaving this one just hanging out, I am actually going to pull it to the back. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it down this way. And maybe I want to tape it. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just want to have it coming in this direction loosely. So I think that's kind of interesting. I have one going forward and one going back. Then I'm going to make a decision about my next area. I can choose to do a couple different things with this. I can continue with what I've been doing, is making curves and zigzags forward and back. Or I can take this shape and I can attach these two pieces to each other. And now I'm totally changing the surface of my plane being the flat surface that I have here. So I need another piece of tape to secure this. Luckily I have one right here. And I'm going to show you this again. So I took the two pieces and I joined them together. So it's convex on this side, the green side, and it's concave. You can see it here. Oops, here. There it is on this side. So again, I am starting to sculpt what was once flat into a very interesting three-dimensional form. Okay, I have this piece here that I need to do something with, and I can flip it up this direction. Might be kind of interesting. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to tape this down here. If you don't have Scotch tape, you can use either white glue or you can also use glue stick. It's a little trickier because you have to hold the piece longer until the glue kind of starts to dry or adheres to the surface. So if you have masking tape or Scotch tape, that may be a better solution for construction. Okay, so now I've created this side. It's kind of interesting. It's got some interesting forms happening. This side's kind of plain, so I think I want to bring some of the green back onto this side because right now I just have a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is cut a slit here. And again, you're going to make your own choices and decisions on how you want this to happen. And I think I'm going to make this into just a hinge or a fold to make a shape. Okay, now this will stand on its own. I've only treated one side of my file folder. This side I haven't even touched yet. I'm going to leave that to your imagination, but you can see how when I'm all done, I can even bend the folder to create a curve, or I can keep it straight with just kind of a sidewall. So I'm going to leave it to you on how you solve the solution for this side. But I'm going to take the finished one, and again, this one doesn't have the color, but I'm going to turn it slowly so you can see how interesting it is on both sides. So this might be the inside side of the folder, or what was the inside. And this might be what was the outside of the folder. But you can see by me turning my sculpture how interesting from all directions my 3D sculpture is. It should not be interesting just from one direction. That does not make it three-dimensional. So I want you to experiment, enjoy. Don't let it frustrate you. You can always get another folder and try again. Have a nice time. I can't wait to see what you create.